All right, we have returned from Button Turrible at Buttonwillow Raceway. A lot to get through. Let's jump right into it. All right, Buttonwillow is the middle of the desert, and what that means is if you go off track, you really can't play it off like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, because there's going to be evidence.
Also, Button Turrible, dudes who bring cheaty R compound tires, we make them take them off and show them around the paddock.
We love Saturns, and they're surprisingly good Lemons cars, and this team realized that and then said, you know, we could take it from good to great by adding this junkyard turbocharger, just like Eyesore Racing.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
They lasted about 30 laps. This was hella sweet and surprising. This team with the BMW E36 decided to do a Star Wars theme, and they emailed me about putting a BB-8 bot on the roof, a droid, I should say.
Yes.
And it was the classic E36, like, all right, you're gonna have a cheaty E36, you're gonna put like a garbage can lid on the top, and it's supposed to be BB-8. The frickin' thing better move, okay? And knowing that they're not gonna do it, but hey, they surprised us. Not only did they make a sweet, articulated BB-8, but they came with great costumes, including this Ewok dog.
So the guys who run the Chotus,
Chotus.
They realized that the only way to make that car run at Buttonwillow was to actually digitize it and do that in virtual reality. So in real life, the Chotus cannot finish a race, but in virtual reality, it does great. So they brought their sims, they set them up for everybody to use, and of course Spank had to bring his own sim.
All right, several months before this race, I got an email from a guy who was from the Icelandic Top Gear. It's not actually called that, but it's called something in Icelandic that we cannot say.
Cheap gear.
Yeah. Now, with all TV propositions, let alone ones based halfway around the globe, I was very skeptical that these guys were going to show up.
And with good reason, because, you know, TV guys, they cannot get their together. No matter what you try to do to help them, they cannot figure it out. Now, these guys, though, from Iceland, they put the car on a boat. The boat went to Maine. They met the car. They drove the car from Maine to Buttonwillow, ran the race, filming all the time, drove it back to Maine, back onto the boat, and back to Iceland. They got all of that done. 4 guys from a country with 300,000 people. How come Los Angeles, which is 90 minutes from Buttonwillow, where all those TV production companies are, how come they can't figure that out?
There were a couple of classic penalties at this race. Complete the jigsaw puzzle and reading excerpts from the NASCAR Romance novel.
This close-up, she could tell that he smelled good.
Go smell him.
Smell him.
Go smell him.
Smell him. All right.
I know you can smell him from here, but you gotta get.
He rolled over so that she was under him. Her legs parted.
He couldn't resist kissing her. Her mouth opened under his, and he told himself to take it slow. But slow wasn't part of the program with this woman.
Hella sweet. OEM Shenanigans brought this giant 7 Series. Car like this, you don't really need a theme, but they made it into this big with tutus, because why don't you?
All right, Petty Cash Racing, which at this point I think is fair to say one of the most famous Jeep-based racing organizations that the world has ever seen.
One of the most famous 3 Jeep-based racing organizations.
Well, one of the other 3, of course, is Archer Brothers, famous for racing those trucks in the 80s. On the Lemons Rally, the same dudes from Petty Cash Racing found the street version of that Archer Brothers race truck, which was a dealer-created thing that you could buy called the Comanche street truck. And they decided, well, we're going to make a replica of that for the Lemons race, thus bringing it full circle, bringing the Comanche back to its natural environment on a road racing course.
So we talk a lot about that is not a $500 car. Where do you find one of those for $500? So we had a team that brought not 1, but 4 running Crown Victorias, for which they paid a grand total of, what was it, $240?
Yeah, I think 3 of them were $50, and then the nice one was $75.
Yeah. So that's how you do it. Now, every so often, it all sort of comes together, and I have always loved the Lancia Scorpion.
Oh, yeah, who doesn't?
Gorgeous, and an 037, even better. The most spectacular thing. I would never own one, mind you.
God, no.
These guys, they got one, and they got it from Spank because even Spank did not want to actually try to make a Launch a Scorpion run. These guys, they were very optimistic. They got the car, they made it run for about 14 seconds at a time. I think they completed a grand total of about 4 laps. And in fact, at one point, the guy was expressing to me his theory as to why the front brakes kept locking is because the car was lighter in the front, stripped for racing, and it had thrown the fine balance off. That kind of thinking did not succeed. The car did not run well, but oh, it looked so good.
I Got Screwed went to safety third in their 2005 Hyundai Elantra. Now, the story behind this was one of the dudes on the team, his girlfriend had an Elantra and her dog ate the interior. And so they bought an entire Elantra that had a nice interior and swapped the interior over to the girlfriend's car. And they figured, you know what, now that we've got this car with no interior in it, we can go racing. And so they go online, and the first thing they see was a post from Judge Phil.
Oh, here's the loophole for Class C. Bring a big Korean sedan luxury car from 2005.
So everything was just lining up perfectly for this team. That was until 15 minutes into the race when their engine totally blew up. They go on Craigslist, they find one in a Tiburon. Whole car's $2,500. And $2,500 is a little much. So they're negotiating with the seller. The seller's a little reluctant when all of a sudden the screen door smashes open. The seller's girlfriend comes out like, Todd, just get rid of this thing. And as Eric points out, this reduced the seller's leverage a bit, and they were able to negotiate the price down to $1,200. At which point Eric also notes they still got boned. They installed the Tiburon engine into the Elantra, and it ran great. So how is this I Got Screwed, you may ask?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is they paid $1,200 for a freaking replacement engine, effectively, and now they've got 2 Hyundais.
Yeah, and one of them doesn't have an engine.
Now, back earlier this year at Indy in Arizona, there was a team who brought a Porsche 924. The fuel injection immediately crapped out, and they used an extra SU carburetor from Spank, adapted with wood to
plywood.
the engine in order to run, and amazingly it worked.
And what I really like is the team is called It Won't Get Better Unless You Pick at It Racing. So good. So they didn't think that the SU wood adapter motor was really the secret to a 924 race car.
Not.
Well, they made the decision that what it really needed was a Volvo diesel 6-cylinder engine.
Well, when you put it that way, maybe they were onto something.
Yeah, so they put it in there, and to be fair, it did not do worse than any other 924 in Lemons. True. It actually did pretty well. So they got the special Most Kern County Award, because in Kern County, you know, what do people like to do? They like to drink beer, and they like to roll coal. And they're like 50% of the way there with this thing.
Judge's choice went to Lemonhead and their Chevy C10 pickup Norco edition. What does that even mean?
The Norco, I think, is like the plumber version that has the lock boxes and stuff. This thing was huge.
Sweet. So, these guys, they had some desert racing experience. Never done anything wheel-to-wheel. Never built a car for road racing. And as Eric said, they went out and they beat all of these steely-eyed racers in their Chevy C10 Norco.
What I really liked, I would look out occasionally at the track and I would see this thing going around, and I would say, man, the safety truck is really hot. Oh no, that's those guys. Heroic Fix went to the Tatooinis. So they had a Mitsubishi Eclipse, so needless to say, that blew up.
Yep.
Head gasket exploded, head was warped at about 15 degrees. We don't know what we're gonna do. One of the people on the team had a 53 Chrysler station wagon which has perfectly flat glass in the back. They said, I know just what we're gonna do. They took the glass, irreplaceable glass, out of their 53 Chrysler station wagon. They sprayed glue onto it, and they sprayed more glue onto sandpaper, fine grit, put it on the glass, put the head down, upside down on the back of a pickup truck, and for about 4 hours. Got that thing. Got that thing totally flat. Put it back on the car, ran better than a Mitsubishi has ever run, finished the race in fine style. Organizer's choice went to Krakow Racing. This is a team that was a father and all of his children. They built this Volkswagen Golf. They decorated it up as a crocodile. The kids who had never done any racing before all got a turn in the car, and they went out there and they were great. They didn't get any flags. They ran a really strong race. Everybody had a good time. They did not annoy anyone. It's almost like you can't believe they were a family. But it warmed my heart, so I gave them the York choice.
index of effluency went to Ran Wen Park Racing and a first time for them Lemons car, and a first time I think in Lemons for this particular vehicle, a Volkswagen 411. Now, Phil could not stress enough how bad this car was, and we were going back and forth about, well, what do you think is in the running for IOE? It could be this, and Phil every time, no, there is nothing here that is even remotely close to being as bad as a Volkswagen 411.
He was right, and until you actually see this car up close and personal, you cannot conceive of how terrible a 411 is. This was a good 411.
In any case, it was one of those instances where we had identified a bunch of really bad cars, and whichever one kind of did the most laps, which in this case was really not very many.
Whichever one sucked the least.
We'd have to really look this up. This could be the lowest lap total for an IOE winner ever,
Could
but
very well be.
as Phil pointed out, this car is so astronomically bad that it didn't need to run very long in order to capture the award, and fortunately for them, it did not run very long.
Now, you know, the Volkswagen 411, I have to say, it's basically just based on a Beetle, right? I mean, it's just a different bodied Beetle. Do you know how many parts interchange between a Volkswagen 411 and a Beetle?
Well, let me think like the Germans for a second. One?
I think none.
Okay.
Possibly the VW badge on the hood. Other than that, none.
So after this race, Corey of Ran Wen Park Racing was like, I don't want any part of this. And Steph Schrader from jalopnik.com, Steph Schrader, an automotive journalist, says, hey, I'll take that car and I'll race it.
All right. I'm so depressed now. Here's Lemons in a nutshell.
You can see it straining.
Buttonwillow, take one, Jay.
My virtual reality. Ready?
So bored. What they didn't want to hear was